Welcome back to Living Local. Education, research, and conservation. Those three things are at the center of what Nahant Park is all about. And we're here today at this nature reserve in Davenport for our latest Parks Near Me segment. And joining us today is Executive Director Brian Ritter. Brian, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for coming out.
No problem. So give us a little history about Nahant Marsh and the background.
Well, it's got a really long history, and I could talk for hours about that, but the short history of this site is that this was an island in the Mississippi River 1,000 years ago. It got cut off, and that happens all the time. The marsh was formed, and then in the 1960s a gun club set up shop here and shot trap and skeet out over the marsh for about 30 years. It was discovered that there was a significant amount of lead dropped in here, and so in the late 90s the EPA came in, scooped out about 140 tons of lead out of the marsh, and in the year 2000 we were founded as a nonprofit whose goal is to protect, enhance, and really restore the marsh and connect people to it. And so it's what we've been doing for the last 22 years.
Yeah, a rich history for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And so what, you know, when we think of parks, we think of, you know, bringing our kids outside to these area parks, but Nahant Marsh, it's not necessarily just for kids, is it?
Yeah, absolutely not. It's for people of all ages. We get a lot of adults here that just want to do nature photography or go hiking or whatever. We've got wonderful adult programs, everything from master conservationists to woodworking for wildlife to guided nature hikes and bird hikes, things like that. So definitely people of all ages.
So a lot that goes on here wouldn't be possible, I'm sure, without volunteers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's one of our biggest needs always, is to get volunteers to do a variety of things. It's everything from pulling invasive weeds to planting trees to helping with some of our larger events, even helping with school groups. We're always in need of volunteers, and we greatly appreciate everything they do.
And you have a lot of opportunities for programming as well, right?
Definitely. All ages. We've got toddler tales on up to things for senior citizens. Monthly programs go on the weekends and evenings, and so a lot is happening out here. This summer we've got 16 different day camps that we're offering for kids of all ages, and a lot of those are unfortunately already filled, but we have a few slots left in some.
A lot to offer, for sure.
Definitely.
And you have a lot more inside, so let's head inside.
Yeah.
All right, we're now inside your education center. What do you have to provide inside here?
Well, we've got a lot of different activities. For instance, we have a lot of different native reptiles and amphibians. These were all animals that were reared in like zoos or in captivity, so they can never be released to the wild, but we call them our animal ambassadors. So we can teach a lot about not only the reptiles and amphibians that are here, but the ecosystems that are critical to their survival. In Iowa, Iowa and Illinois, a lot of our things like snakes are really declining, and so we try to teach lessons about why these critters are important.
What kind of snake is this?
So this is a bull snake, and bull snakes used to be very common in the Midwest, and now their populations are really declining, and it has to do with habitat loss and chemicals in the environment and things like that. But these are really a great snake to have around because they like to eat things that cause us problems, mice and rats in particular. So we hope to see these guys survive until the next generation.
So we understand research projects are conducted year-round here.
Right.
What are some of your ongoing projects and conservation efforts?
Turtle research. So each year we hire students to actually go out into the marsh. We trap turtles. We mark them in a certain way, and then we release them. But we have a very rare turtle here called the Blandings turtle, and that Blandings turtle, each summer we actually put radio transmitters on it, and we can track their movement. We can see where they're nesting, where they're spending their summers, and that allows us to make better decisions on how to protect this animal. We also have a very rare bumblebee here, which is Most people don't think much about bumblebees, but there's a federally endangered bumblebee called the rusty patch bumblebee that lives here and in a few other locations in the Quad Cities. And so we have been working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to monitor those populations.
You are in the middle of a multi-million-dollar fundraising campaign. What could Nahant Marsh look like in the future?
Yeah, actually, we just completed that campaign. I'm very pleased to say we raised $4 million.
Wow.
So there'll be a lot of changes coming. We're going to be improving our trails. Really, the whole thing about the campaign was to connect, protect, and grow the marsh. And so we're connecting more people to the marsh by providing more recreational opportunities like better trails and viewing platforms, things like that. We'll be expanding our buildings, so we'll be able to do more educational programming in the future, but also working hard to protect this really rare resource we have here. Most of the wetlands in the Midwest are gone now, so the fact that this one is surviving is important, and we're going to be investing money to buy more land around the preserve, to restore more of the wetlands that were once here, and really create a bigger buffer so that this place can survive well into the future.
All right, so much to see, so much to do, and so much to learn here, for sure.
For sure.
All right, Brian, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you can learn more about Nahant Marsh at nahantmarsh.org, and we'll have all those details for you as well as ourquadcities.com.